All right, this is ninth lit, and we're getting ready. We just took a quiz, and we're getting ready to read Beowulf. And in the story, this is Beowulf's last speech before he fights the dragon, and he's going into some background of. Did we do this yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
On the board, he talks about how Hygelac, who is his uncle, became king. And then how he became king, that is, Beowulf became king after Hygelac's death and Hygelac's son's death. So, and he's talking about some of the battles that he won. He defeated the Frank, Raven. I thought wasn't intended this way, but it's a great transition to our next book, which is about the French, or the Franks. A little bit about the same time period. Well, no, remember, this story takes place about 400 or 500, written in 700. Remember that? That'll be a question for the test. The next book we read takes place in 770. I have to look at the date again, but it's an actually true event. It's a historical event that takes place. It's a battle that takes place between the French and the Spanish in something, and but everything else in the book is made up. So anyway, but that's about the French. So you're going to start. Beowulf still talking.
Oh, we have the treasures?
No, Beowulf spoke. Isn't it that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Beowulf spoke, made a formal boast for the last time. I risked my life often when I was young. Now I am old, but as a king of the people, I shall pursue this fight for the glory of winning. If the evil one will only abandon his earth fort in face of me and oath.
So what's his motivation for fighting?
To keep the people and to defeat the evil.
Yes, and for the glory of winning.
Yeah.
So a part of it is pride. He wants glory for having killed the dragon. So.
And then for the better of the people.
And he does think about that. You're right. You want to keep reading?
Yeah, yes, sir. Then he addressed each dear companion one final time. Those fighters in their helmets, resolute and high-born. I would rather not use a weapon if I knew any other way. To grapple with the dragon and make a good my boast, as I did against Grendel in days gone by. But I shall be meeting molten venom in the fire he breathed. So I go forth in mail, shirt, and shield. I won't shift a foot. When I meet the cave guard, what occurs on the wall between the two of us will turn out like fate. Overseer of men decide. I am resolved. I scorn further words against this sky-born foe.
Yeah, he may be proud, but he's also remembers who's going to determine who wins the battle. Yeah, he always says that. I don't think any time he said, "I'm going to definitely win. There's no way I could lose." He never says that. Yeah.
What does overseer mean?
An overseer is literally in the Bible, when you see the word bishop, an elder, those are overseers, someone who supervises other people. So he's talking about God as being, the supervisor of life.
And then I forgot what scorn means. I've heard it before.
To scorn is to sort of make fun of. Where does it say that?
I
It
scorn
says, I scorn further words against the sky-born foe.
Yeah, so he rejects them, but it's also kind of a making fun. There's an element of that. All right, thank you. Who's next? All right, Celeste.
Men at arms, remain here on the barrow, safe in your armor, to see which one of us is better in the end at bearing wounds in a deadly fight. This fight is not yours, nor is it up to any man except me, to measure his strength against the monster, or to prove his worth. I shall win the gold by my courage, or else mortal combat. Doom of battle will bear your lord away.
But again, why is he doing it alone? That's the question you have to ask. And what?
Because of his pride.
Yeah, I think so. It's not a good idea. Next. All right, Anna, great.
Then he drew himself up beside his shield, the fabled warrior in his war shirt and helmet, trusted in his own strength entirely, and went under the crag. No coward path, hard by the rock face, that hale veteran, a good man who had gone repeatedly into combat and danger and come through, saw a stone arch and a gushing stream that burst from the barrow, blazing and wafting a deadly heat. It would be hard to survive unscathed near the horde, to hold firm against the dragon in those flaming depths. Then he gave a shout. The Lord of the Geats unburned his breast and broke out in a storm of anger. Under gray stone his voice challenged and resounded clearly. Hate was ignited. The horde guard recognized a human voice. The time was over for peace and parleying. Pouring forth in a hot battle fume, the breath of the monster burst from the rock. There was a rumble underground. Down there in the barrow, Beowulf the warrior lifted his shield. The outlandish thing writhed and convulsed and viciously turned on the king, whose keen-edged sword, an heirloom inherited by ancient right, was already in his hand. Roused to a fury, each antagonist struck terror in the other. Unyielding, the lord of his people loomed by his tall shield, sure of his ground, while the serpent looped and unleashed itself. Swaddled in flames, it came gliding and flexing and racing towards its fate. Yet his shield defended the renowned leader's life and limb for a shorter time than he meant it to. That final day was the first time when Beowulf fought and fate denied him glory in battle. So the king of the Geats raised his hand and struck hard at the enameled scales, but scarcely cut through. The blade flashed and slashed, yet the blow was far less powerful than the hard-pressed king had need of at the moment. The mound keeper went into a spasm and spouted deadly flames. When he felt the stroke battle fire, billowed and spewed, Beowulf was foiled of a glorious victory. The glittering sword, infallible before that day, failed when he unsheathed it as it never should have. For the son of Echithel, it was no easy thing to have to give ground like that and go unwillingly to inhabit another home in a place beyond. So every man must yield the least hold of his days.
Is there any doubt what's going to happen to Beowulf?
He's gonna
die.
Yeah, they said this is his final speech, his final day, his last word. Yeah, all that's very good. All that's foreshadowing. He tries to kill it with his sword and it doesn't work. So he knows he's in trouble. I wonder how it's going to more specifically going to end. Who would like to read?
Is there a movie?
Go ahead.
Is there a movie?
I've never seen a movie. Yes, but there is a movie. I've never seen it. What's her name? I can't remember the name. I think I have a copy. I've never seen it. It was a modern movie, and Grendel and Grendel's mother was some movie star. You know, it was real attractive. So you lose it right there when you say, okay, that's not the spirit of the book. Yeah, there is one. Go ahead, Campbell.
Before long, the fierce contenders clashed again. The horde guard took heart, inhaled, and swelled up and got a new wind. He who had once ruled was furled in fire and had to face the worst. No help or backing was to be had then from his high-born comrades. That hand-picked troop broke ranks and ran for their lives to the safety of the wood. But within one heart sorrow welled up. In a man of worth, the claims of kinship could not be denied.
Before you go on, what happens to his men?
They retreat.
They run away, except for one. One does not, and they can see Beowulf's in trouble or hear it. I don't know what they can see, but they know something is going wrong, but they don't come and help him. And his name is in the next stanza, so circle that.
Okay. Is it Will?
Wiglaf. Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
Okay, ready?
Mhm.
His name was Wiglaf, a son of Weostan's, a well-regarded Shifling warrior related to Athlir. When he saw his lord tormented by the heat of the scalding helmet, he remembered the bountiful gifts bestowed on him, how well he lived among the Wagamundings, the freehold he inherited from his father before him. He could not hold back. One hand brandished the yellow-timbered shield, the other drew his sword, an ancient blade that was said to have belonged to Eamund, the son of Othere, the one Weostan had slain when he was an exile without friends. He carried the arms to the victim's kinfolk, the burnished helmet, the webbed chainmail, and that relic of the giants. But Onela returned the weapons to him, rewarded Weohstan with Eamon's war gear. He ignored the blood feud and the fact that Eamon was his brother's son.
Before you go on, we know it's Wiglaf, and he couldn't help it, but notice that it describes Wiglaf's father. You notice that happens a lot here. You don't just learn about the person, you learn about the person's ancestors, which that's an important thing. Who are your parents? You know, where did you come from? You know, that's important to this culture here. What motivated him? Essentially, what one thing motivated him to help Beowulf?
The people, like to fight the dragon, or
Yeah.
oh, the people.
Let me read it. It says, he remembered the bountiful gifts bestowed on him, how well he lived among the Wegmundines, the freehold he inherited from his father before him. So he was grateful. He was motivated by gratitude, first to Beowulf and then to his father. Gratitude is an essential quality of life. If you know people that aren't grateful, and by the way, I'm just always impressed with Caldwell students. They'll say thank you. You'll say that to your teachers after just a regular day. You know, nothing special happens. And many of you do that, and I think that's a wonderful quality. People that aren't grateful, that's a problem. I think Christians of all people should be grateful. So I appreciate Wiglaf's gratitude. He's thinking about his father. He's thinking about Beowulf. He says, I owe it to him. You know, I'm thankful for what they've done to me. Any volunteers? We don't have a lot of time today. We'll start. We'll go back.
Sad.
Are we that far?
No,
I think we will stand 2620.
Weohstan kept that war gear for a lifetime. The sword in the mail shirt until it was the son's turn to follow his father and perform his right. Then in old age, at the end of his days, among the weather geese, he bequeathed to Wiglaf innumerable weapons. And now the young was to enter the line of battle with his lord. His first time to be tested as a fighter. His spirit did not break, and the ancestral blade would keep its head, as the dragon discovered as soon as they came together in the combat. Sad at heart, addressing his companion, Wiglaf spoke wise and fluent words. I remember that time when mead was flowing, how we pledged loyalty to our Lord in the hall. Promised our rings with their weren't our fighters. Make good the gift of war gear, those swords and helmets, as when his needed required it. He picked us out from the army deliberately, honored us and judged us. Fit for this action, made me these lavish gifts, and all because he considered us the best of his arms, bearing things. And now, although he wanted this challenge to be one, he's faced by himself alone, the shepherd of our land, a man unequal in the quest for glory, and a name for James. Now the day has come. The Lord we serve needs sound men to give him the support.
All right, we'll pause there. Sorry, I have to start from the middle. So now we're even closer to the end, but he's trying to encourage the rest of the men to help as well, and out of gratitude. He's remembering Beowulf. All right, good job today. I'll be working on your quizzes the next couple of days. All right. You'll get the review sheet tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Poe.
Yeah, we'll see you.